Welcome to this month's webinar about how to use AI to build authority in your niche. Now, it's a very vague title, but what I'd like to do is actually share with you a few ways that you can use AI to help you to do that. My plan is to teach you 3 ways that you can use AI to do this. The approach we're going to use is not a new approach. However, using AI for the approach is a different way to go about it. Firstly, I'll show you how to create a long form piece of content that positions you as the expert and that is in your niche. Then we're going to get that piece of content and use it to generate smaller pieces of content. And then also how to reach out to media, so journalists and podcast hosts, etc., so that they can put you on their show or feature your report or white paper in their media or in their publications to elevate your credibility. It's not a new approach. It's called chunking in terms of content. If you remember, Gary Vaynerchuk had a version of it a few years ago. He came out with this presentation. It was called something like 64 pieces of content in one day or something like that. We're not going that far at all, and it was around long before Gary Vee, that approach. But using AI makes it so much easier. And particularly the new features of many of the AI tools that have been popping up. Like even today, I've dropped a new model and the new deep research features in some of the platforms now too make that so much easier. So we're going to play with those as well. I want to reiterate why it's important to have expert content. Everyone's an expert in something, and with that information and that experience they've gained. And so this is why it's really important to create content that shows what you know and shows that expertise and that the experience that you've gained over time. And then it builds trust. Like everything we're doing, particularly on social media, this is another way that you can help to build trust with people. And white papers and reports are a really great way to build that trust because it shows that you have an idea of what is going on in your industry and that you can provide a really detailed piece of content that can add value and knowledge to that particular group that you're trying to engage with. Let's move on to the first way of building authority with AI. But before we do, I always have to go back to this. This is the process that I've developed through my research. And I like to come back to this because it kills the frustration that can happen when you're just flying blind on AI, using AI to create content. And it also helps to mitigate any risks around just posting stuff that AI is given to you. So I won't spend too much time on this, but just to reiterate, it's like any creative process. The first stage is you have to prepare. So in order to actually get the AI to do what you want, you need to give it very detailed, specific instructions. So to do that, you need to think about before you even do anything using it, what information will it actually need to get the output that I want? What are the who, what, where, when, how, and whys of this piece of content? What are the goals? Who's the audience? Those sorts of things. It comes back to basic communication skills, really. And then writing your prompt. So actually drafting it, whether you do it in the actual AI world while you're doing it or do it somewhere else and copy it in. It's really about making sure you give it all that detail and the information that it needs. And then stage 2 is then you actually put it in and you will go back and forth. So even if you have the best prompt in the world, chances are you're never going to get exactly what you're after in the first go. So it's going back and forth. And you do that with any creative. If you're working with a colleague or even, say, a graphic designer, you generally go back and forth a few times to get the thing that you want. And then finally is the post-production stage. So what really alarmed me with the research that I did recently for my book was that it was nearly like 50% of the people that are surveyed out of 400 people were not fact-checking or editing the work that the content that AI was producing. They were just doing it and then copying, pasting it and using it. And that is frightening. So please make sure that you check, even though it can actually search the internet and things like that. And as we'll see, you can use it to develop reports using deep research. You still need to double check that those figures are legitimate and credible. And yes, it does take time, but it's faster than you actually going off and doing all the searching yourself because you get the resources straight away. And then you edit it because You can train AI absolutely to write like you, but it's still a good idea to make some tweaks to it, not just again copying and pasting. And then you put it into the sort of format that you want, whether that's going to be a Google Doc or you put it into Canva to make a nice document, whatever that may be. So that's the synthesis, the final draft. So now we've got that down, the stages. Let's move on to the actual creating expert content. So again, of course, it's important to define those objectives, doing that preparation. Now, you can use your own data to create a white paper, or you can use an AI, which we'll play with in a second. Using your own data is a good idea, particularly if you've done a survey of your customers, if you have been doing interviews or anything like that, where you're gathering information and gathering statistics or insight or doing your own research. It is a good idea to use those statistics, as long as they're correct, of course. Or you can now use some of the deep research functions which we'll check. And using the right tools. So these are some tools. So ChatGPT does have a deep research function where you can give it a prompt and say what you want, and it'll go off and really scan the internet and bring back a whole heap of resources and write up a report based on that. But we don't have it yet here in Australia. I just checked before this, hoping they just dropped it here. It's in the US at the moment, though. And then, but also Gemini has deep research. They were the first one to do it. And also Perplexity now has added it in the last couple of weeks, and it gives you 5 free goes at it each day. So we're going to actually experiment with that too. Now, it's important to write your prompt and make sure that you're telling the AI what you want and how you want it. So you can see here, there's a prompt there. It's probably a bit small for you to see the whole thing on the screen there, but in it, I've given it a role. So I'm saying, you are a market researcher. Please draft a white paper aimed at wellness business owners in Australia. So very specific about the audience, that provides current statistics relating to efficiency enhancements that can be made to businesses that integrate AI into their operations. So I'm wanting to do a white paper to this industry so that I can show them what can be actually gained by using AI. And then I've told it how many pages I want it to be. I want it to be quite a short white paper, not a big report. So white paper should not be more than 3 pages and contain statistics and case studies from the internet from wellness industry where possible. And if none are available from the wellness industry, please provide the most compelling statistics. And please use professional but accessible tone and language. The aim of this white paper, so again, telling it what the outcome needs to be, what I'm trying to achieve. The aim of this white paper is to excite wellness business owners about AI and to encourage them to consider integrating it, or even more accurate and provide sources. Now, the last line is something that came out of my research as well, and I've been using it, and I have noticed a slight improvement in the outputs. We'll go to Gemini. I pay for Gemini to get this extra stuff, so deep research is in here. I'll pop that prompt in, and so what it does is that it will look at the prompt, and then it then details the research it's going to do for me, and I can go in and alter that if it's not right. It's just thinking. Meanwhile, what we'll do is there we go. So you can see here, it's got the prompt. And so now it's going through the steps of what it's going to do and what the report's going to look like and what the white paper is going to look like. And so I'm happy with that. So I'll say start research. So that's going off to do that. But meanwhile, why don't we play with also Perplexity? Because this is, I don't pay for Perplexity. This is a free tool. So for the free version, you get 5 queries for deep research. So let's put the same prompt in there. I haven't used this before, so let's see what it comes back with as well. We can compare. And so I'll give it the prompt and send it off on its way. So it's thinking. Let's check in with, here we go. So it's sometimes I wonder, is it talking to itself or talking to me? So it's found 20 sources. And so it's going through what it's going to do, and it's reading those sources now. Let's go back to Gemini. It's giving you a nice little report, which you could make look better. What I should have said, I did say it was for Australian business owners, so it's actually used US spelling, which I would change to make that Australian, UK, English. But it's quite comprehensive in there. But I won't clearly read it word for word now because it will take a lot of time. But just say you've got that document now. So I'm going to download it as a Word document and we'll go back to the next section. So we do have that report. I think Perplexity has stalled. Oh, no, hang on. No. Let me go back in. That was my first. Oh, no, here it is. There we go. Unlocking. I would change that straight away because every AI output uses unlock or unleash. You can see here, but it's used UK English, which is really good. Oh, no, it didn't. There we go. So you have to actually tell it that clearly. And then it's gone through with some different case studies and things. It's okay. It's okay. I think I'll use the Google one though as we go in to the next part to give you an idea of who's actually doing this with white paper. Canva is a great example. They just did a survey recently looking at hiring managers and job seekers, looking at design skills and the importance of design skills. And so then they used that to develop a report. They got a lot of media coverage from it and a lot of people downloaded it. So they used it as a lead magnet as well. An example of what we do. So we at Dharana, we have a where we interview people who work in the wellness space. And the first series was all about how wellness practitioners can avoid burnout. And so what we did is at the end of that series, I got all the transcripts that were AI generated, but double checked. And then I asked the AI to pull out, we did one on to avoid burnout. There was a question about how to navigate social media as a wellness practitioner so that you're not constantly looking and looking after your own well-being and things like that. So I got it to pull out all the answers from the 20 episodes for each of those questions. And then we use that to actually create a white paper around each of those questions. And then we're using that now. We're building a page on our website to use it like a lead magnet as well. So there's industry reports that created from all of that data, the 20 interviews. And so that's another way that you can do it. And once we have one, we are going to promote it, and we also promoted it to, there's like a wellness industry body in the US, and we promoted it to them as well. And so it's just another way to build your authority. So if you're actually doing anything like that, where you're doing a podcast, you can use all that information to create your own white paper as well. All right. So now let's use content from it. Okay, here we go. It is the prompt I'm going to use to repurpose this content. So I might do a LinkedIn post. So it'll generate a few of them based on the key stats from the paper. And these posts are aimed at, please keep the content. And so you've got all those, the who, what, where, when, how, and why in that prompt. Again, let me go over to Claude now. Just checking in, you can see me. Okay, so Claude has just dropped all of these newfangled things, but we'll use the new model, which is this 3.7. And I'll just clean up this prompt. You are a social media content writer. Please develop, I'll say 3 LinkedIn posts. I'll say highlighting one of the key statistics and findings in the paper in each post, being very specific. They're aimed at wellness business owners to encourage them to download the white paper. Please keep the content, I don't know, 100 words, or we might even say 50 words or less. Use a clear and engaging tone. And avoid AI banalities. Like I said before, that unlock and unleash. Avoid those and overuse AI cliches. Use UK English, which we mentioned before. And the post should have a strong hook at the beginning and a strong call to action at the end. So now I will upload the report. So we've got that there. This white paper, I might even put attached. Let's have a look now at what Claude's given us. So it's taken now, and of course I'd need to edit this, but in 10 seconds, it's come up with 3 different posts. So staff using AI report an 80% boost in daily productivity. Imagine what your wellness team could achieve with that extra capacity. Download our white paper on AI-powered wellness to discover how Australian businesses are transforming. And I asked for it to be concise. So it's actually done that. I think that's pretty good. So that's using Claude, and it's just pulled those out of that paper, which is really good. So next, so we've popped that in, and again, you need to edit it and massage it into the way that you want. But how fast is that? So far, we've generated a report in a few minutes, and then use that report to generate a series of posts that then we can then use and edit. It just saves that time. And then once you've done that, and you can then link. So if you've got like a landing page on your website that has people, you can capture people's emails to then download the report, then it's a great way to use those posts to send people to your website to actually do that. And then plan and schedule, of course. And this is what I'm planning to do with my book, is to pull some of the key stats out. But I don't think I'll upload the whole book. I might just do like a chapter here, a chapter there to pull out and make some posts from that, which will be so much easier than me sitting there and rewriting and everything myself. Now we're moving on to the third way to build credibility using AI, and it's automated outreach to media and podcast hosts. Once you have the white paper and you do share it on social media, sometimes it's not enough. What you really need to do is try to find people who have a big audience in your niche to see if you can get them to talk about your white paper and to interview you about the white paper and what you found in it and the information. And so what you need to do is find these people, find the people, the journalists who cover the media in your niche, podcast hosts in your niche, and just trying to find them on the internet just takes forever. Like it really does if you're just going and searching yourself. Now, I've had good luck with Perplexity. Perplexity's been very good at helping me to find media contacts and podcast hosts in my niche. But I also did a Google Gemini Deep Research report as well. So let's have a look at that. I prepared one earlier. And so my prompt was very simple. All I said was find me key media contacts covering the wellness industry in Australia. And so it went away for a little bit, maybe took about 5 minutes, and it came back. It told me like how it was going to find it and who. And then it gave me a list, and you can actually export that into a spreadsheet if you want to do that. So then you can keep track of who you're contacting. And it's not so good on the email addresses, but it did give you the websites. So it means that you can just go and do that. I'll talk to you in a second. There are other tools that can actually scrape the contact details from websites that makes it even easier using AI. But you can see here, at least I've got a list here of health and fitness magazines and health magazines. Then they've given me a list of journalists. We've found the contacts. Next is personalization. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You could get the AI to write you a template that you can then copy and paste in and change the details, but you need to be so careful with that. If you're going to do it manually, it still takes time, but it frees up a lot of time. However, please do not have the email start with, I hope this email finds you well, because every AI-written email does that, and I don't know, my eyes glaze over. So you need the email to have a strong hook on it, to get and a great subject line, because getting in front of journalists, like they receive hundreds of emails every day. So you need to make sure with your pitch, where you're pitching to get media coverage about your white paper or to go on a podcast, you need to be engaging and get their attention. The other way to do it is there are tools, say there's reply.io, like we said, and then there's a tool called Go High Level, where once you have the email addresses, you can set up an email that has these custom values in it that will change. It will have their name, it will have their particular outlet. So you can actually personalize it to each as well. And you can automate those messages so that when they contact you back, you will be notified, and then maybe another email goes out, or however you want the sequence to be. That's a bit more complex. It's not something that I would cover in this session because there's quite a few steps to that. But just know that those tools are out there, those AI tools are out there. So when you're looking at this whole process, ultimately, you can use the AI to create a white paper for you. You can then use it to create posts from that white paper to then send out. You can then get it to find relevant media contacts for you and podcast hosts for you. You can get it to help draft the emails to make it really engaging. And then you can use it to really personalize and then automate the sending of those emails and the responses as well to get in front of those people and set up times to be interviewed or whatever the case may be. So it's nothing, it's not new, but when you used to do it manually, it would take you days and days to do this sort of work, but you can actually get a lot done within one day using all of these different tools. It's really great. Next one, I thought I would do how to create a custom GPT. And why I thought I'd do that is because while a lot of people know and they're second nature, there are still so many people who don't know what a custom GPT is. And I hear this sentiment out. I see it on social media a lot where people say, look, by the time I write such a detailed prompt, I might as well have done the job myself. But if you are writing similar content or for a particular audience, you don't need to write that same prompt all the time and keep redoing it. You can set up a custom GPT, which is you can do it in ChatGPT, and it's like a little program that will complete a specific task according to your specifications. A lot of agencies use them. So if they have different clients, they'll create a custom GPT based on that client around their branding and things like that. So they're really helpful. They save a lot of time. And so I'll show you how to set one up. You just need to give it the right instructions, and you just need to give it the correct content and documents to train on, and then it will do that. So that's a really great way to use AI. That's really cost effective and time saving more than anything. That's the next one. If you want to learn any more about AI, please reach out. So you're welcome to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Even if you want to just have a 30-minute chat, please do. That's absolutely complimentary. And then also, I'm very excited. My book came out last week. That was like 11 months of hard slog, but it's so fun talking to people and learning so much. That's available as well. And I'm also running a workshop in a couple of weeks around how to deal with negative comments on social media. And I will be using AI a little bit in that session as well. So if you've ever, and sometimes negative comments come out of nowhere and they're not even customers, but then you're stuck with them on your social media or on your Google My Business. So I'm going to guide you on how to navigate that if that happens. That's there, and I can send you the link to that if you're keen. And then finally, AI can really help you to generate authoritative content quickly, but you still need to be that human in the loop. So you can use it to repurpose and then automate your outreach. But again, AI is not going to do the whole job for you, but it can make parts of it much faster. Pretty soon, though, so where we talked about how AI going off and finding and then emailing and applying to be on podcasts and things like that, pretty soon AI agents are going to be able to do that for you. So AI agents, they're available to some degree, but not widespread yet, but they can perform particular tasks for you on the internet. So you could get it to find these podcasts and then fill in the forms for you according to the information about you. And then you just give it the task and it goes off and does it. So pretty soon that will be available. But until then, we have to do a bit of the groundwork. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.